Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're in RaceRoom Racing Experience and we're going to be checking out this brand new car that's just been released, which is the Ford Mustang Mach E. Now this is a 1400 horsepower electric thing. It's not really a race car, it's not really a road car, it's more of a project car for Ford to show off their electric powertrain capabilities. So we're going to take it out on track, see what it's like to drive, and see where it fits within the RaceRoom level of content. But before that, we're going to take a quick look around the outside of the car, take a look at the model and see what we're looking at. So let's jump into that right now. Okay, so here we are with the car on track at the Zhejiang circuit in China, just to have a look around the actual exterior of the car and see what it actually looks like. So it's based on a SUV crossover type vehicle, as you can see from the rather tall side profile of the car. But one of the things you will notice that is different from the road version of the Mustang Mach E is the absolutely ridiculous aero package it's got put on it. You've got a gigantic rear wing on the back, a huge front splitter with enormous dive planes, which kind of makes you think this thing's been built for downforce, so are they expecting it to get up to high speeds which could need a little bit of help sticking it to the ground? We'll find out, but looking at the actual styling of the car, it might not be to everyone's taste, but at the same time it looks pretty aggressive with the body kit on it. And you can tell that they've really put some thought into making this car a bit more aggressive. Fans of the Mustang will obviously be up in arms about this most likely, because everyone's like, well, it's not really a Mustang, it's, you know, look at it, it's an urban on-roader. And I tend to agree with that. It's not really a standard thoroughbred Mustang, but that's up to Ford, whatever they want to call their particular cars of the time. But either way, it's its car in its own right, and I'm curious to see what it's like to drive. So I think it's time we get this thing out on the track and see what it can do. Okay, so here we are in the cockpit of the Mach E, and first thing you'll notice inside is that there's a rather large vertical handbrake staring right at you from the dashboard, which kind of gives you a little bit of an insight and an inkling into what this car has been designed to do, but more on that later. So let's first of all fire up the car, and when I say fire up, it's just simply a case of pushing a button and then you get a nice neon glowing pony on the middle of your iPad dash in the middle there, but then simply a case of engaging D for drive and pulling away. So here we go, 1400 brake horsepower, 4-wheel drive and electric power. What could possibly go wrong? We're just going to take it nice and easy to start off with, because we've got to build up slowly with these things. So we're just going to drive around and see what kind of car we've got underneath us here. Now this circuit itself is a really good one to try if you want to bring out the worst in a handling model, because the corners just keep going and going, and it's really going to exaggerate when a car's not handling well. So we'll see how that goes with this car. Now obviously being electric powered, there's not a great deal of sound going on, other than transmission whine, a little bit of whine from the electric motors itself, and obviously you can hear things like the brakes and the road noise and things like that, but that's about it really. So if you came to this video expecting to hear a nice raucous V8 from this Mustang, unfortunately you're going to be a little bit disappointed. But that's not the point of this car. It is electric powered, and obviously having 1400 brake horsepower available means it's probably going to be rather quick in a straight line. So let's see what it's like as we come out of this hairpin here. This is the straight section, so let's just nail it. Well, it certainly picks up in a straight line. There's also a fair bit of understeer I can feel going through the fast stuff. Got a bit of a wobble going on because of our high centre of gravity maybe. Just about got it stopped for the final corner. The braking distance is very long, so be prepared to slow down quite a lot earlier than you would normally expect to in other race cars in RaceRoom. But picking up the pace a bit more now. There's definitely an awful lot of understeer going on, which I know we're running in default settings, and you can change that in the garage section. There's lots of little settings you can change in there to try and improve the handling of the car, so no doubt you probably can get a better front end on it. Let's apply a little bit more power out of there, and the rear end tries to come round on you. Now, I should note at this point that we have gone and changed the engine map on the car. There's 5 engine maps available, all ranging through from lower levels of power up to higher levels of power, and obviously we've gone for map number 5, which is the most power and torque available. So you know, you've got to try these things, haven't you? If you've got that much power on tap, you've just got to use it. So we're on map 5, which is why I'm being a little bit careful with what I do with the throttle, because I'm not quite sure how much of that I can use accelerating out of corners safely. But I tell you what, the way it picks up, it just adds kilometers an hour, miles per hour to your dashboard with ease. So it just really does eat up the straights. So as a race car then, it drives reasonably well. It's decent feedback to the wheel. Obviously there's the understeer issue, which can be adjusted with settings, but it's not going to be up there in terms of race car performance as, say, a modern GT car or a touring car. But that's not really the whole point of this car. This car has been designed more as a demo piece for all things mad. Which kind of brings me on to the next point of this car, which is the handbrake. Now, normally with cars like this, well, race cars in general, you don't see a huge handbrake like that, unless of course you're in a rally car. But there's one rather important side of this car which it's been designed for, and that is of course drifting. So I've mapped a button on my wheel, so let's see what happens when we pull the handbrake. All of a sudden, things get rather exciting. And being four-wheel drive, of course, you can just mash the throttle and pull yourself out of it, all at the same time while destroying your tyres. I backed out of that one. Now, drifting's not my natural habitat, let's say, so don't expect this to be a fine display of drifting ability. But that being said, the car itself makes it reasonably straightforward to get the car sideways. It's just holding it and being smooth with it, which is the bigger challenge. Also not easy doing with the Formula rim. And all of a sudden when you do that, obviously the RPMs go through the roof. What a mad thing. So if you're into your drifting, you'll probably like this. And it's something which RaceRoom has not really done in the past, so it's more been geared towards more serious track racing, and then obviously hill climb involved in the game as well. And drifting has never really featured in RaceRoom. And of course there isn't actually a drift mode as such where you battle against competitors and score points, etc. But for a bit of fun, and just a general hoon about, you'll probably quite enjoy doing this. If of course you can get past the whine of the motors. So we mentioned that there's a drive gear, which we're in now, but there's also another gear. You go into S. Now, I'm expecting this to be sport, so we might just do a little bit of a comparison just to see if there's actually any difference whatsoever between drive and sport as I completely cut first corner. Oh dear. I think I may have cut my tyres. So let's just finish them off, shall we? Just going to take the inside line through this next corner. just really nailing the throttle all the way through there. Now, it sounds to me as if the motor noise has gone a little bit more high-pitched. Maybe S stands for squeal. Who knows? But it seems to be a little bit, maybe a little bit more controllable on drift mode. But that could also be that I needed to get some more tyres on. So let's get some more fresh tyres and give the S gear a little bit more of a test. Okay, so we've got some new tyres on. We're in S drive mode, so let's see what happens this time. Is it going to be any easier to drive sideways? Yeah, potentially it is. That might be to do with the diff settings or something like that, maybe. But it does seem to be a little bit more well behaved when it gets into sideways mode like this. It makes even an average drifter, or below average drifter like myself, look like they know what they're doing. It's just mad, this thing, it really is. But what about the car? Where does it sit in the RaceRoom Racing Experience? Is it really something that is going to appeal to a lot of people? Probably not. If you're going to be looking to drive this car as a race car, it's not really going to tick the boxes for you, I don't think. But if you are a fan of drifting, the chances are you are actually going to really enjoy driving this car, because the sideways capabilities of this car is very rewarding when you get it right. So if you're really looking for something just to have a bit of a mess around in for a few minutes and just do mad things, the Mustang Mach E might be the car. Oh, I didn't quite pull that one off. But the great thing about RaceRoom is the fact that you can actually test drive this car for yourself before you go out ahead and buy it. So take it out on a couple of tracks, see what you think, have a laugh, have some fun with it. Just generally be an absolute hooligan. But yeah, it's probably not going to be used online very much, unless of course people set up their own servers just purely for drifting. But yeah, it's not going to be for the masses, I'm going to admit that. But if you do like your drifting, it's probably worth picking up and giving it a go. So there we go, that's our review and first look at the Mustang Mach E, the mad 1400 horsepower electric SUV monster. If you enjoyed this, please do consider hitting the like button on the video. It really does help the channel to know that you guys like what we do. And if you are new here, welcome, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. You will see plenty of crazy driving and fun sim racing experiences. But until next time, we're going to practice our drifting a little bit more. So take care of yourselves and we'll see you in the next video.